Hey everybody, Shay here, welcome back. I've just finished another volume of Attack on Titan, Volume 3 by Hajime Isayama, and boy, this one was dense. And not like dumb dense, I mean like dense rich, like robust. Like, man, this one took me probably 2 hours to read, man. I just finished right now. It's nighttime, I'm cold. Anyways, and my god, this was meaty. So let's just get started. I'm going to be delving into the story patterns and what this particular volume already sets up for the next 4 volumes. It does look like Hajime Isayama likes to write in 4-part arcs or 4-volume arcs. I don't know if that seems intentionally planned at this point because of how good the patterns do play out in the 4 phases of storytelling. This one in particular sets up Act 1 or Phase 1, of course. It is Volume 13, so I'm going to immediately speculate that this is a 13, 14, 15, 16 is the Act 3, and I'm going to see if it pans out. And why am I saying that? Well, because this really feels like a setup for another massive story arc. This one's massive, but not in the like Titans everywhere destroying everything. Like, none of that happens in here. I spent 2 hours reading this because of how dense it is. There's just so much storytelling. There's so much writing in this particular volume, and like each of the 4 episodes in here are setups for completely new components of the story, and it's going into the world lore, kind of like I was speculating in the last volume, where I said that this really does feel like the series is starting to set up the world itself as the character for the entire macro series arc and through line. And what I mean by that, because the series is 34 volumes long, I'm kind of looking at the 17, or let's just say 16 for easy math. Every 8 volumes feels like one of the 4 phases of the storytelling arc, and that's kind of what I'm mapping to, just for fun, just to speculate along the way and to organize my thoughts when I'm kind of just speculating for all of you, for your entertainment, just to see how close or far I get from what ends up happening. I will say right away that I ended up speculating that Volume 12 was going to be about the Beast. Did I end up talking about that? I don't think it did. That I ended up thinking that it was going to be about the Beast Titan, and it didn't end up being about that. It ended up being a resolution, and it just left the Beast Titan out there to be brought up later on. So instead of getting entangled in the multi-tiered story pattern things going on right now, let me start from the beginning, because this does feel like a new start. And so when we think about the macro level story arc, this feels like it's in the macro phase 2, or the macro early act 2. What do I expect out of that? A lot of exposition, a lot of exploration, a lot of development of character. Okay, that's the streamlined way of looking at this. And I mean this across the next, let's say, 8 volumes, right? It's going to be a lot of like heavy establishment for the world itself, because I feel like the next 8 after that, somewhere in the volume 20 plus, right? It's then going to, things are going to start getting wild, and it's in the last 8 episodes, right? Let's say 26 to 34, right? That's when like things go crazy, because that would be our Act 3 or their 4th pattern, right, of the macro phase arc. And then let's talk about what I think is going to be the next arc. I'm already predicting it's going to be 4 volumes long, because this felt like a phase 1 of the next 4 volumes, okay? And then the volume itself has its arcs, and it makes it easy. Isayama makes it very easy. There are 4 episodes, and so that makes it easy. Phase 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Act 1, Act 2A, B, and then 3. It's perfect. The patterns play out so perfect that it makes it very easy for me to remember how to talk on vlogs like this, because I can just go through the phase patterns, and it makes it easy for me to go, what was the episode 51, Squad Levi, about? Well, it was the Act 1 setup of the entire volume, because they basically know that they're getting watched by someone on the inside, by a group on the inside, and it's likely tied to the MPS, right? And the royalty, because there's stuff tied to, of course, Krista or Astoria, and there's just some shenanigans going on right now where they can't really trust anybody, and they can't really do tests on Eren without the fear of getting captured or caught. So they kind of have to like stay on the down low. They have to try to work out a plan on what to do next. Captain Irwin is alive. I thought he actually got taken out on the last volume, but no, he's still around. He just lost his arm, and Hans ended up getting taken out. So he's for sure out of the picture. That's unfortunate, and it was very clear because she was doing the finger licking good on the volume 12. But Commander Irwin is still in play, and between Irwin and Levi, it does look like a major gamble is in flight, or they're going to be putting the pieces in place, moving the pawns on the board, moving the knights and the bishops like this. It's a massive chess game going on between what they're about to try to pull off. Some talk of some underground city when they hit, like, I'm not going to go into the granular details because there's just so much pieces going on here. Pixis is in here. They're having the internal discussion with the commanders themselves and kind of talking that, hey, we might have a plan to move things forward and through all of that. But I mean, I'll speak through some of it, but then we do get pieces like this where Connie gets taken back to the village where the villagers returned to the Titans, and that was a speculation. And so Hanji takes Connie back to validate that it is his mother. They do some other tests and whatnot, and they come back with that evidence, like it's like it was like the number of Titans killed equal the number of villagers that went missing. I think that was it's kind of high level. I mean, maybe it's like it's a little bit loose, but hey, it could work. They get into some of the anatomy, so some exposition pieces, of course, some setups, and again, we're rolling into finishing the episode 1 going into episode 2, so we're gonna be entering a bit more of that exposition phase, right, where it's gonna be a lot of information that's gonna be dropped on us. So episode 2 rolls around and they're sitting around the table and just talking about what's up. I'm just being so generalized at this point. Hey, look, I'm going to be spoiling some stuff along the way. I'm just saying there's so much exposition here that I think I'll be able to generally talk about the scheming and conniving that will be going on along the way, right? But one of the seeds that they end up uncovering, Hanji ends up saying that, I know what happened to Nick, Pastor Nick, right? He got taken out. He was murdered. I mean, the fingernails were taken out, right? Because so some group is trying to find out what Pastor Nick might have said about, there he is, what he said about Walmaria and some of the secrets that were tied to that. And one cool comment, I mean, it was kind of disturbing, but the way Levi put it is like, well, how many fingernails did you see pulled out? She said, well, I didn't see all of the hands. He's like, well, of the ones that you saw, how many? She's like, all of them. And he's like, yeah, he would have spoke after the first fingernail was pulled out. So there's a very good chance he didn't say anything. He kept the secret with him to his grave because all his fingernails were taken out, meaning, he just took the torture right to the end. That's when they're like, okay, well, we got to make a play here. We got to figure something out here because things are about to get wild and we want to be in control of saving humanity. So they go to talk to some of the guards here, and this is what I mean about there's just a lot of words on the page, because I was reading this going, where are they going with all of this? Because she's almost like it's like a soft interrogation, but they're having a normal talk, but then it's like you feel like something's odd about it the entire way, and then she does this thing where she's doing a sign off to say bye, but she brings his hands really close together, and she's like, I gotta give context, this makes nothing, because she's just rambling on down here, the bottom panels there, right, where she's just rambling on with at the very least he wasn't carrying any clothes or sacred objects related to the Wallace when he arrived here. I'd never heard Nick say anything about the Wallace, and most of all, Nick couldn't even leave this room because of the shock he suffered when the Titans ran him down. No one here should have known anything about him. What are you? And he's like, what are you? Because she's holding the hands tight, I guess I just didn't know everything about Nick. Hey, let go. And then that's where you're like, okay, something's up. Well, she was checking his knuckles to basically see who was part of the torture and the takeout of Nick and murder of Nick. So Hanji comes to that solution, pretty much knows it was those two guys. They're the ones behind it, And that's the setup for basically our Act 1 rolling into the early Act 2, just the setup pieces, right? And this is going to come up in the tail end, a bit of a mirror pattern going on here when shenanigans are afoot, but in the control of our Squad Levi and Co. and friends, and again, just word balloons everywhere. It was drenched, page after page, just bam, just context and exposition, and it's just, oh man, it's crazy. But really cool stuff gets established. That's all it's pretty ambiguous for the first 10 minutes, right? So then they're peeling potatoes and making some food, and they're talking about Krista, right? And how she's sort of she acts different now. She's normal. From Aaron's words, she's normal. So he likes her better because she's acting normal now, whereas she looked like she was pretending before. We get her past as a child, working all the time on the farm, taking care of things. This is a really nice story, kind of sad. Kind of, as in very, she's got a mother, but she's like, oh, I wonder what it'd be like to hug my mother one day. And she's like, mother, and she lands on her lap, and the mother tosses her away, puts her hand to her face, and then says, if only I had the courage to kill this girl. And the mother walks away, and it's the line, those were my mother's first words to me. This is very good. This is a very poetic chapter if you catch it, because then you keep going, right, page after page, you get more of her history, and then she kind of meets her dad. Her dad comes and is like, I'm dad, I'm Reyes, I forget his first name, it's in here, Glenn, Gordon. Gordon. What is this? Batman? His name is Rod Reyes. And so, first time meeting the father, but then they get surrounded by these men, this kind of like shadow group. And, well, things don't go so good. Takes the mother aside, and the mother denies being the mother. I guess they're trying to like save themselves, because, and that's probably why she was worried. Like, again, we don't know, it's ambiguous, right? But they take her, and my lord Rias, we must ask you not to ask so rashly. Are you feeling uneasy because while Maria has fallen? And then Krista screams mother. She says, no, I am not this child's mother. She has nothing to do with me. Aha. Is this true, Lord Rias? Are both this woman and this child unrelated to you? And there's just a look of like, I don't know what's going on here. But then he says, very well, neither of them are related to me. And then, well, things don't end well for the mom. I'll just do that one quick on YouTube. So mama goes bye-bye. And if only, and her final words were, if only you'd never been born. And there's that poetic repetition there. Those were my mother's last words. So her first words were, I wish I had the courage to kill you. The last words were, I wish you were never born. So that's kind of all she had from her mother. Now, that's probably going to screw someone up, right? Chapter over. We're at the midway point. Perfect. We're in the transition now into the Act 2B, or the Phase 3, where things have to escalate. Things have to kind of get a little bit more chaotic. A little, like, things have to happen. And, of course, the first page is just like, oh, my God, what the hell's going on? Aaron's in a fight. And it's like, this is going to be a flashback. This is going to flash forward. Like, am I losing time here? Okay, they're testing. They're doing tests on Aaron. And I like that the chapter is actually called Smoke Signal. And I like the idea of that. Anytime any of these Titans transform, this smoke goes up. And basically gives their position away, and they're worried that when they do that, someone's going to track them down and know where they are, and then come after them and take Aaron away, right? And Krista. And so in this transformation, I guess this was a third transformation. We're gonna have a bit of a rollback, a little bit of flashback, but he like starts melding, like fusing, pretty crazy into this form, and they can't peel him off easily. Casa's got to cut parts of him free. It's a bit of a mess. So they roll back a little bit, and we have a little bit of a rule of threes going on here with the storytelling, where Hanji's basically giving the summary, like, do you remember? Aaron doesn't really remember, and she's saying, well, we did these 3 tests. Of course, rule of 3, storytelling, right? The first test, you were a 15-meter class. The second test, you were a 13-meter class. The third test, you were a 10-meter class, and we could barely get you out of the form. In all of these tests, they basically check in for intelligence and for the ability to listen, so that he can coordinate with the human, so he doesn't like lose control and be a chaos agent, you know? But they're really trying to get him to learn how to do the armorization. I'm just making that word up, right? He's trying to like make the armor thing, because they're trying to figure out the whole wall thing, you know? He can't do it. He can't figure it out. And so, you know, they do come out of that with knowing that he can't do it. He just can't do it. And every time he forces the next transformation, he becomes less and less able to be like able to control, I suppose, things. Like he starts to just eat the house that he built in the first form. On the second form, he just starts eating all the logs and just losing consciousness faster. He starts writing things on the sand, basically saying that he can't transform, but then he keeps writing, and this way, like, he has a mental lapse and he loses consciousness. But that he mentions his father, and that's the part he doesn't remember, but him mentioning his father makes him kind of go wackadoo, and that's what makes him fuse more with the form, and then chaos ensues. So there's a bit of a forward and backwards, but it's for storytelling purposes. It ended up working because, you know, the patterns go one more granular phase down, right? Which is like even the episodes themselves have 4 phases. You know, they're very structured. It's baffling how structured these stories are in that regard. Anyway, so Aaron is like, okay, well, we've learned what he can't do, which is also a success, right? Not Aaron said that, but I mean, Levi's pretty cold about it. It's like, well, we basically depended on you. We're all depressed now because you failed. But Hanji, of course, like turns it around. It's like, no. What basically what he actually meant is like, well, no, we learned something. We learned how many times you can transform, how you degrade along the way, and the fact that you can't do armored is learning. You took something away. You can't do it. So you just move on, right? You don't waste time keeping on doing that. Now, we did get a flashback here in the midway point, which threw me off because of the way it kind of came out of that scene. You know, like he says here, like clenching his fist, you know, why was I the one given this role at this rate, saving humanity, repaying hands, and the others? So he's getting that determination, but then it flips into this double spread here. I won't be able to do it. So he has that self, like, defeatism going on here, but it's like, well, no, I have no other choice, right? And then he kind of goes, for now, but why did I think of my father during the experiment? Would I have been able to control my Titan for longer if that hadn't happened? Father, where are you living right now? Or are you already? And then he has this flashback. he sees this. And I'm like, is it the mother? And we see this thing right here. And then his eyes go open. And I mean, his eyes kind of look the same, right? And he has this like shutter moment, right? The shutter, right? But then you flip the page and it's like, Historia? No, that's not her. Is this a memory? When is it from? I can't. Not again. Anymore. And then you're still weak. Blah, 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 blah. We have that moment right here. What the hell? What the hell? You know? But when you look at the two eyes together, because you do have you have the ones up here, and then Historia's eyes, right? And you're like, I mean, they do look like the same eyes. Anyways, so that's another one of those weird things that did get dropped in the middle of nowhere. You're like, I don't know what it means, but I'm going to keep reading. You have no choice. You have to keep reading. Anyway, so they headed to town, and this is where the shenanigans, right? We're in the third phase, so things have to escalate. Things have to get crazy. The plans are afoot. We have an Irwin maniac plan. Irwin does meet an old friend in the MPS. Just has an exchange here with the dude. His name is not Nick, but I want to say Nick. I felt like it sounded close to Nick, and that Niall. His name is Niall. All right, so and that he wanted to join the survey, but then he chose Maria. What's her name? Mary? Damn it, I'm forgetting all the names. I just read this. That was 2 hours. Anyways, he ends up choosing the person he loved and wanted to have a family with, and that was in the inner city, and so he didn't do the survey corps. But it looks like maybe Irwin is trying to work a system, like make allies on the inside, like maybe get a mole, maybe get a double agent. He doesn't say it out front. He's not explicit about it. It's like, I kind of had interest with in her too, right? Well, let me get the name because I know he says, yeah, it's Marie. Because Irwin says, I'll leave you here. Oh, and one last thing. I was quite taken with Mary myself. And I'm like, are you threatening him? Is this like a soft threat? Or is like, I was getting very concerned. I was like, because I didn't know what Irwin's play was here, And then he says, Niall says, you think I didn't know that? But you chose Titans over her, didn't you? And Irwin says, more interested in Titans than Marie, or Mary. I don't know how you pronounce that one. There's something wrong with you, Niall says, and then he kind of, boom, he just kind of goes away. But you're like, did he plant a mole? Or at least the seed of it, And as he goes in there, we don't know what he went in there to talk about. We're going to find out about that, I'm sure, in the next volume. And then the next page is like, everyone read it. So everyone had read that whatever this thing was, and it came from Irwin, and then they burn it. So shenanigans are afoot as we roll into Act 3. Now, this is where I was confused going in because I didn't know what the motive was here. I knew they were maybe like planning something to go on the inside where they were trying to find out who killed Nick, but they kind of found that out. Were they trying to uproot whatever it was, like the shadiness behind the scenes? Was it also against the MPS? Because Niall didn't know about it. And so I was kind of rolling through this, kind of going, look, I'm just going to, at this point I was an hour and a half in. I was like, just keep reading. Just keep reading. It'll all come together. So as soon as Levy walks into the crowd recognizes him. Hey, isn't that the famous soldier, But he looks kind of small, and they start to like surround him, and they're all big, and they're like, hey, we're all poor now, and you all eat well, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's going to cause some ruckus, Then you're like, oh, was this planned? Is he going to attack? Is Mikasa going to have like a moment, one of those moments, the Mikasa moment? And then it's like, nope, carriage comes by, and oopsie doopsie, kidnaps Eren and Krista. And you're like, again? I mean, they also seem self-aware about it when they're talking about it. And so you're just kind of like, oh, this is a weird trope to keep repeating because it's just, what the hell's going on? No, don't worry about it. Because the next page, they basically say, no, just kidding. Whoever they took were not them. And now that's kind of creepy because, and then, the next page, it actually shows like what's going on. I mean, yeah, you can see like it's not good. It's not good. I kind of didn't see who was impersonating Chris, but it was Armin. You find out later, which is like, all right, I kind of see it. Oh, the horse face. It calls him horse face, but I'm not sure who it was. Was it a no-namer? And so, and then above the kidnap hideout thing, we got Mikasa and Levi up there scoping out the area and just like checking out what's up, what's what. So chapter ends. We're now in the last quarter, so the Act 3, and we get a flashback here and this is a nice little scene here because I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. Is this a dream? Is this not? Kind of it is, but it's not. It's like a memory, but the memories kind of become dreams, and I'll get into that. But here, so we'll do the spread here, and I'm like, oh, that person looks familiar, but very happy, And she's talking about, oh, you should act more ladylike, you should blow your nose, and she's taking care of her, and good job, blah blah. And it's like, well, she's like, well, what is even ladylike? Because Krista didn't grow up with the motherly love like she talked about. She didn't have any of that care, And so here comes the stranger, and she's talking to her about words that she doesn't understand, and then she shows this page right here, right, that book page. You should act like that girl right there. You should act like that girl right there. And then you're like, look at that. That looks like Ymir. It's like, okay, so it's Ymir, but is it like a memory? Because, like it's crazy because like there's a moment like this, like things kind of like go chaotic like that, and then they're happy, and then she's like, it's like, what is happening? I'm so confused. And then there's this moment right here, the forehead tap right here, pop, and she says, I want you to forget about me again until the next time we meet. And then boop. And this is important, the art right here, because it looks like the art when the Titans are getting controlled, right? And so when she says that and she goes bonk bonk, it's like she forgets. Curious. And she kind of like wakes up, like comes back to the modern time here, and she wakes up. She's like, I just had a dream, blah blah blah. And Aaron's like, yeah, that kind of sometimes happens to me. So at that point, you're like, wait. So you are maybe both the same of something, is what I immediately went to, because how could I not? Anyways, and so then she remembers, like she's talking about, Ymir made her choices. She went off her way, and that's where they talk about, I'm different now, and Aaron's like, well, I like you better now because you're normal. You're just normal. You're not pretending to be something else or someone else. And there's a bit of a parallelism happening there with even from a Sasha perspective. We haven't gone back to the Sasha plot to kind of dig into that a little bit, where she. I love Sasha. So, I can't wait for that moment, but let me not derail. Let me stay focused here, because this was chunky, and I thought this was going to be a fast vlog right now, because I was like, I don't know if I even have a lot to say, because it was just a lot of wording going on. I feel like maybe I've done a couple loops here, and the editing will tighten this up, but I'm at the 30-minute mark. I didn't think I would be. I thought this would be a 15-minute. Anyway, so they have, again, just a lot of balloons, man, a lot of exposition, a lot of characters talking with each other, which is good, because we haven't really had a moment to sit with the characters and have them have some exchanges and get some different viewpoints from the different characters on both sides of that interaction, so that we have some dynamic changes going on. It's just some variety, And so this, so these mobster, or not mobsters, but the group comes in. It's the Reeves company. If you come in, they get taken out. Of course, Mikasa's already in there, ready to take them out. And lo and behold, who is the boss behind this Reeves company? None other than the merchant that was at the gate that Mikasa almost killed in like volume 2 or something like that. Was trying to push the cart through the gate because there was going to be a lot of money to be lost. Wow. Even that little moment, not little. It was important. It was an important moment. So Mikasa's able to like call that out, and we do get a cool arrow moment from Sasha. Shoots an arrow into the butt of the gun, sticking it to the floor, so we know that she's got an eagle eye. She was a hunter and stuff like that, so I hope they bring that back more, like differentiate her in that regard. I think that would be kind of cool. And so then they're talking with this merchant. Levi takes him up to the wall, and I'm like, oh, this guy's dead. He's gonna get Batman style, like hanging over the edge. He's screwed. Like they're gonna do something. They're gonna have to torture the guy and get some information, or because I still didn't know like which pieces are they trying to move and play, because they did that writing was very good here. They left it like secret-y right until the moment of the reveal, the page of the reveal. And so Levi's, again, a lot of words going around, right? Levi's giving him this background, like, what kind of man do you want to be? Like, this is your city as well. This is my city, but this is your city as well. And these people are out there depending on you as well. So your bosses aren't getting the things that they want out of you. It's like, who's the bosses? No one knows. It's, well, we're going to take these. And it's convoluted. But the point... So to simplify the convolution, I suppose, the bosses at the top, inner MPS, right? Some shadiness. They want Aaron and they want Krista. They hire the Reeves company to kidnap them, take them to the inner city for whatever reason, right? Whatever's going on there, fine. But then it turns into, if you're not going to get this done, they're probably going to kill you. And that's the thing. He's up on this wall going, that's what's going to happen. Like, we're dead now. Like, not only am I dead, but like my underlings are going to be dead. And then when we're dead, all the people down below who expect things from us, like that get food, they get deliveries and stuff like that, like get things transported through the city. Well, they're not going to get food now. They're going to go onto the streets. And there's like this domino effect that is greater than the self. It's kind of what I took away from this, right? And so then the question from Levi's perspective is, who do you want to be? What kind of man do you want to be when you're given a choice like that, right? You're going to give it a choice. Like, why wouldn't you fight? Well, because that's the top and that's the way it's always been. No. What would you do? Like, you have all of this other stuff around you. The city is also yours. These people depend on you. What kind of person do you want to be? If you know you're going to die, then that's how I took it, right? Then how do you want to die, right? Be a better person. And so he says, but it's on 3 conditions, And then he lays out the conditions, right? And so the first one is that from now on, the Reeves Company will join the Survey Corps in opposing the Interior Militia Police Brigade, as well as the Royal Government and its decrees. So that's an open threat to the guy. Like, they're going to take someone. They're taking him out. They're taking out the entire last bastion of humanity. They're taking it out from the inside, and they're building up like a partner base now, an ally, a composition of allies around them, so that they can pull off a massive chess move inside the city. The second rule is that the Reeves Company will trust the Survey Corps wholeheartedly, and it's like, oh, we kind of joke when we say that, but it's like, no, not anymore. Now it's like there's gonna be not a rank order system, but it's more like, if you're told to do something, you just follow the rules. You almost like a soldier. You just trust. You trust, and because Erwin has like these maneuvers sometimes where you're like, that's just a crazy move. But hey, Erwin's plan, right? And then Levi, we've learned about this volumes ago, right? Where Levi will just follow Erwin's plans, as crazy as they are. He just follows them, because things flow easier when the entire organization works like a working organism, And then the third rule is, from now on, the Survey Corps will receive priority access to any rare or luxury foods, drinks, or products the Reeves Company obtains. Tea, for example. And of course, Sasha is really happy about that. And hey, I did not expect this turn of events. I thought this guy was going to get thrown off the edge, but he accepts it. It's a deal. They're going up this cliffside here, because they're transporting these two dudes, which of course are the ones that took out Nick, Pastor Nick, tortured him and take him out. And they're going down up the cliff, and the wheel slips off the edge, and kablamo! They kind of fall off the edge into the I guess there's a river down there. The preposterous battle is only just the beginning, and then we find out, because Levi and Hanjay, which gets overly excited with these kinds of things, are up on deck. So Mr. what's his name? Mr. Sans is not going to have a good day. I wonder how many fingernails he's going to have left over. We do have this like double spread of the closing here, and the royalty here. I mean, it looks kind of like Jesus figure X, doesn't he? Like he's like, it does have that look, which I found kind of interesting. The king, looks kind of sad and depressed, but does look like Jesus. Anyways, these measures are now the only way for humanity to survive. We'll use our strength to overthrow the royal government, and we will seize control over what's left of humanity inside these walls. And that's, of course, when he's basically telling Pixis what the plan is going to be at the beginning of this volume. So, great. Bam, the bam, closure. So the entire volume had a wonderful closure to it. All the pieces were set up as if it was its own little mini arc, but this is the first part of 4 that's going to make, my speculation is that it's going to be a 4-part arc, because the way it ended was, that's the quest. They literally told you on the last pages. You usually have the call to the quest, right? The moment where what your next the big thing is going to be, that the protagonists are going to move forward to do. Well, it's to seize control of the government. They're going to take them out. That's the quest. And so now we have 2 volumes. My speculation, of course, don't spoil me in the comments below. But my speculation is going to be 14 and 15 will be about some of these pieces moving into play, like more pieces. Like it's really like building up that base force that's going to be in motion when it comes time to execute on the takeout. They're gonna have Titan. I mean, they have Aaron. So Aaron going in the inner city, causing rampage. It's like the MPS. We've also gotten indications MPS are not good at fighting Titans at all. They're not trained for it. The Survey Corps is. So what are you going to do? If Aaron's on the loose, what are you going to do? So they can probably hold that off. And Aaron alone is going to be a force worth reckoning with, especially if you get near the palace. So this plan feels doable, but, we're not even halfway through the entire series. So, of course, shenanigans have to happen. Maybe by volume 15 or something like that, there's going to be that Act 2 to Act 3 transition where, things go crazy, right? That could be the Beast Titan comes back into the fold. Maybe. I don't know. Just some chaos element. But see, if that were to happen, the Beast Titan would have to come back into the story on volume 14. If that happens, then it feels like the Beast Titan might be the wrench in the machine that happens for this particular arc, and that would be the extra chaos that happens in the Act 3 of this phase. Otherwise, if that doesn't happen in volume 14, my speculation is going to be that this is going to be fully focused on the inner city, the machinations of what's going on with the city. And what's important here, like that panel right there, right, is that Aaron is looking at the key around his neck again. So now we get to loop back. We actually get, why am I talking about my father? Why did that set me off, right? And now we get him looking at the key. Well, now they're in the city. Now there's this whole play going on here. Is that part of the quest, is that they have to get back to the house, to the basement, to get the secrets, to find out what that whole father element is? Because he makes the comment. It's one line. It's one line, one panel, one page, But he says, would he be able to control it more? I don't remember the exact quote, right? I'm not going to find it. Will he be able to control himself more if he found out what memories he was suppressing, something along those lines, right? And the key is the secret to that memory being unlocked. Maybe that becomes part of the adventure arc, the exploration arc, which would be volume 14, would be maybe they tie into that, like trying to get back to the basement and learn more about that. And then what else can I speculate? I mean, I think the big bads would have to, we just got a panel of the royal house. So like maybe there's stuff with the royalty. And it's not a cliffhanger, but we did get the panel with the sad, depressed, bored king, I suppose. And whatever that might mean, I don't see, that was a pretty depressing dude for it to be a big bad. But maybe it's like, I don't know, the darker, the shadier MPS. It looks like there might be two factions. There might have been a comment about that as well, that it feels like the faction itself is starting to split. So maybe there'll be something like that. But I do feel like the drama is going to now be focused on Trost for the next 3 volumes. So yeah, that was fun, but man, that was a long read. That was a massive read, and this ended up going 40 minutes. So we'll see what I actually cut for all of you. Hopefully it made sense. I wasn't going in circular bouts there. I could probably tighten that up. I'm experimenting with this new way of doing things, and I'm kind of enjoying it. It keeps it fresh in my mind. I also get to talk back the ideas post reading, so that I can organize them here. And then, of course, when I edit, I get to consume those again. But I'm on a bit of a reading binge right now because I'm trying to get some backlog in play, and I'm trying to get the momentum back because I really want to finish the series. And I want to dedicate myself to pulling it off. And I think that this feels like a good flow right now, folks. So I kind of made a long weekend for myself to try to pull this off. Took 2 days off of work this week, and I'm going to roll into the weekend and see how many of these I can do. So hopefully you're still enjoying them in this format. And of course, I'll catch you in the next volume. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.